Baltimore City Council Ways and Means Committee back in session. We're here for City Council Ordinance 22-0235, Ordinance of Estimates for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2023. Nate, can you do me a favor and close the doors to chambers? Thank you. I'm Eric Costello, Chair of the Committee. I'm joined to my left by Councilman Robert Stokes, 12th District Chair, member of the Committee, Councilman Mark Conway, 4th District, Councilman Zeke Cohen, 1st District, Councilman Ryan Dorsey, 3rd District member of the Committee. To my right by Councilwoman Felicia Porter, 10th District, Councilwoman Danny McCrae, 2nd District member of the Committee. Also Councilman Antonio Glover, 13th District. Representing Mayor Brandon Scott, Sophia Gia, Nina Themlis, representing Council President Nick Mosby, Nate Poole. To my immediate right is staff to the committee, Marguerite Curran. I have publicly endorsed in the race for sheriff for someone who is running against Sheriff Anderson, so I'm going to be recusing myself as chair of the committee and will not be asking questions this evening. I will be turning the gavel over to Councilman Mark Conway. We've also been joined by Council Vice President Sharon Green Middleton, 6th District member of the committee. Mr. Chairman, Chairman Conway, the floor is yours. One other housekeeping item before we begin: make sure you speak with your mouth about one hand length away from the microphone, and the chair will politely interrupt you if you do not, so that the folks at home can hear you. Yep. All right, Councilman Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Former Chair. I will hand it over to Sheriff's Department in order to give a presentation. How many slides do you have? 10 slides? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'll start our slide presentation.
Can you start with your name, introduce yourself, name, title?
I'm sorry. Major Jason Gruz, Sheriff's Office, here with Captain Kim. I'm here representing Sheriff John W. Anderson.
And your colleague here with you as well, please.
Captain J. Kim.
Thank you.
Our mission: in the spirit of service and in keeping with our oath as law enforcement officers, we will, without partiality or prejudice, treat people with fairness, equality, dignity, and respect while remaining courteous at all times, consistent with maintaining the people's trust in a democratic society, all the while furthering the public safety mission of the Baltimore City and State of Maryland. Our services we provide: civil enforcement authority, enforcement of civil court orders, service of writs of executions, summonses, subpoenas, and writs of possession, services of rent court orders and evictions, execution of arrest warrants, execution of sheriff's sales, collections of fines and court costs, protection of Baltimore City's circuit courts, Baltimore City Juvenile Justice Center, Mitchell and Cummings courthouses, service of arrest warrants and federal task force operations targeting violent crime, major federal and local felony firearms trafficking, gang and drug and distribution cases, working directly with the ATF, U.S. Marshal Service, and the DEA. Warrant apprehension task force, domestic violence services, child support enforcement, prisoner transport throughout the state of Maryland, communications dispatch and warrant control, other associated law enforcement responsibilities as needed, support for neighborhoods and community needs, neighborhood policing support and criminal patrol and crime suppression details, large public event deployments, community outreach programs, and charitable community event deployments. Key facts: office operates 24/7, 365 days, continues presence at the Circuit Court facility. All deputy sheriffs and court security officers hold a Maryland Police and Correctional Training Standards Commission certification as a police officer. Deputy sheriffs complete a certified police academy in Maryland and yearly annual certification training. Our goals for fiscal year 23 and 24: improve fiscal management practices with BBMR support and guidance, demonstrate the range of services provided by the office, improve management and financial efficiencies, deputy sheriff salaries increases and collective bargaining, DHR reclassification study, and attrition rates. Our spending by service: you can see our courthouse security and deputy sheriff Enforcement are the two biggest spenders, and spending by objectives is salaries, eats up the majority of that. Courthouse security. The Sheriff's Office has a jurisdictional authority to prevent crimes and secure the safety of all individuals in the circuit courts in the Baltimore City Juvenile Justice Center. This duty includes maintaining order in the courthouses, custodial changes of defendants during trial, custodial changes of jurors during sequestration, including transporting them to and from overnight accommodations. Staffing the courtroom facilities includes presence in all criminal matters that are being heard in order to maintain control of the public, protect all parties, and prevent witness tampering and intimidation. Additionally, court security officers monitor a closed-circuit camera network that covers the interior and exterior of the courthouse. This function is instrumental in preventing and detecting crimes and ensuring public safety. The current level of funding does not reflect the increase in number of individuals entering the courthouse daily, the number of additive courtrooms that are new in operation. The service description recommendation assumes that this service is static and that the level needed has not changed since 2019. Furthermore, of the 32 officers' court security positions funded, 20 positions are currently frozen, preventing the Sheriff's Office from reaching appropriate staffing numbers. For example, there are usually 2 reception courts per day, each requiring 2 court security officers. Due to staffing shortages, sheriff deputies are pulled from their traditional duties to cover the courts. This results in them having to perform their traditional duties during overtime hours. On average, operations send 6 to 9 deputies daily to perform court security officer functions. These deputies are working 50 to 55 hours a week to maintain the work received from the courts, including warrants, DV orders, civil and criminal paperwork, and child support work. Deputy Sheriff Enforcement. Neighborhood police support. At the request of the Baltimore City Police Department, approximately 5 deputy sheriffs perform traditional police patrol functions at least 2 nights per week. The duties include answering 911 calls in high crime areas and patrolling areas experiencing crime. During patrol deployments, deputy sheriffs in uniform and marked cars respond to citizen calls and take identical law enforcement action as a regular police officer. Deputy sheriffs also assist the Baltimore City Police Department by providing law enforcement security functions at some major city festivals and routinely in Fells Point. Assisting the BPD often requires that deputy sheriffs work overtime. While BPD will assume the overtime cost, it should be noted that deputy sheriffs, which performing identical functions as their BPD counterparts, are not paid at the same rate. This results in a net saving for the BPD while it increases the number of weekly hours worked by the deputy sheriffs. Service of protective orders. The service is responsible for serving peace and protective orders issued by the district and circuit courts. The Sheriff's Office took over the service of protective orders from the Baltimore Police Department in fiscal year 2014. Examples of the peace and protective orders under the Sheriff's jurisdiction include domestic violence protective orders and general warrants, which often involves the seizure of firearms. District Court Sheriffs. This service serves all rent process issued from the Baltimore District Court, including the performances of evictions by court order. Deputies also serve and enforce district court writs, summonses and attachments, and levies. This service serves approximately 145,000 summary ejectments and 64,000 eviction orders yearly. Child support enforcement. This service serves child support process warrants in Baltimore City for the state's Child Support Enforcement Administration in the Department of Human Resources. In many instances, child support is only collected after warrants have been issued or individuals are compelled to appear. The recommended budget maintains the $1.1 million for a federally funded child support enforcement entitlement, which will reimburse the city up to 66% of general fund expenses incurred while serving child support process warrants. Thank you on behalf of Sheriff John Anderson, Chief Henry Martin, and myself.
Thank
Take
you.
any questions.
Thank you. We're going to open up to questions. My first one is, where is the sheriff?
He couldn't make it tonight.
It's very, very uncommon for the agency head not to make it to these meetings. It's a very important opportunity, I think, to defend his budget. So I just want to note that for the record. We will start with questions, and I'll start with the two of my own before going to my colleagues. Colleagues, if you have questions, please do let me know. My first question is, it is my understanding that there are two types of law enforcement officers at the Sheriff's Office. The first is the court security officers who have jurisdiction only over the courthouse.
Correct.
And the deputy sheriff who has the authority all throughout Baltimore City.
Correct.
How many deputy sheriffs are currently performing court security function?
We have 25 permanently assigned, and then we send us an additional 6 to 9 daily to cover shortages.
6 to 9 additional deputies. Got it. All right, and so how many of those deputies are serving warrants? How many deputy sheriffs are serving warrants full time?
Captain Kim is his squad.
Okay.
There's a mic right there.
There's a microphone right here.
I'm familiar with it. We have 1 sergeant and 5
One
deputies
sergeant, one
and
sergeant, and 5 deputies.
deputies.
Got it. So you have 6 total.
6 total.
And so as I understand it, there are 12 deputies working on domestic violence. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct.
There are 19 working on district court services.
Correct.
And 6 working on child support. Why are we serving? Why do we only have 6 people working on warrants?
Well, we're supposed to have 2 squad, but right now because of manpower issues, we just couldn't fill it.
But to help offset that, we're task force with U.S. Marshals, Baltimore City Police. We work with them, so we're working with other agencies with fewer people to get accomplish.
So we count on the Baltimore Police Department to serve
Correct.
warrants.
We work with them though.
We are teamed with U.S. Marshals, a Warrant Apprehension Task Force in Baltimore City, and sheriff deputies. Every day, they go out.
And how many officers are serving on court duty right now? You said
Court duties, you say?
yeah, court duties.
Was it
How many deputy sheriffs?
20? Is it?
We had 25
25.
deputies that are assigned to that court security division because of the frozen positions, and then additionally, they make a request for anywhere from 6 to 9 deputies daily.
I see.
So we pull those deputies from different units.
So we aren't adequately staffing our warrant task force, but we're putting deputies on court duty at the moment.
Well, we're short everywhere.
We're short everywhere.
Yes. I think we're supposed to have 18 deputies in domestic violence and 20-some deputies in the district.
And the court positions, those don't pay at quite the same rate because of the ability for.
Correct. They're city.
So are there
positions.
vacancies that we need to fill in those positions so that we can get more
Yes.
deputies out onto the street?
Yes,
How many vacancies do we have there?
I can tell you.
I mean,
Overall, I know we were
it's
least
32. It was at least
yes,
32.
32.
32 vacancies across both deputies and?
Yes, across the board.
How about for each?
I didn't hear your question.
How many vacancies there's 32 across both?
Across the board, we have 20 positions that are in security that have been frozen. So we can't even hire those positions.
Court security.
Court security. But in the state side, we're approximately 18 short. But our court security, we use it like a JV. Like they come in, they go to a police academy, they work court security.
Yeah.
When they get experience, they get promoted to a state deputy, and they can go out onto the street. But right now, the starting salary for a deputy sheriff is $42,000. In Baltimore City, start making $63,000. So Baltimore County's offering $10,000 signing bonuses. So that's why we're in the process of bargaining to bring these deputy salaries up so they're compatible so we can keep people.
I see. You have a question? Oh, please go ahead, Councilman Glover.
I just want to know how many have you guys recruited from the last class of graduates to the sheriff department?
We attend the Baltimore City Police Academy with them.
Right.
Somebody's going to, what happens usually is they recruit our guys because they're making 41,000, police officers making 63,000.
Okay, well, how many actually graduated this past class that you can tell me?
Well, Friday we have 5 graduating.
5? Okay. And do you know if you have any that are in the academy right now for the next class of individuals? 3?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And so my second question is regarding in the budget, it said that, you guys said that the Deputy Sheriff Enforcement Division processes roughly 70,000 court orders annually, which is an estimated 1,800 warrants per month. Sorry, of the 1,800 warrants that are issued each month, how many of those warrants are cleared by sheriff deputies where the deputies actively go out on a warrant investigation and arrest the individual in a certain court, on a certain court warrant?
I don't have the current numbers right. I can tell you last year, end of 21, we served over 815 warrants.
But you're talking about 1,800 warrants per month?
Yes.
Okay, that's not all arrest warrants. Those warrants they consider evictions as a warrant, right? So, that's all part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So probably you're looking at actual arrest warrant, you're probably looking at about 30, 35 actual VOP or FTA warrants that comes out every 2 weeks. So it's about 70 warrants a month, actual arrest warrants.
And how many warrants, so if we're doing 60, 70 a month, how many warrants go unserved each month where the individual is not arrested and brought before the court? And
I know we serve about 15 to 20 warrants every month, right? The rest of them, they're not there or they're running, whatever, So we make attempt on every one of those warrants.
okay,
That's for sure.
attempts aside, how many do we get arrested on?
Attempts aside?
Attempts aside.
I have to say about 18. We average about 18 arrests
A month.
a month.
Okay. And then what is our total warrant backlog?
We really don't have a lot of backlog at this time. One of the reasons is because of the COVID. The warrant has slowed down a little bit
Yeah.
being issued.
And the reason why I'm asking these questions is realizing that warrants play an important role in making sure that folks that we know are an issue are taken off the streets.
That's correct.
So I'm trying to get to a point here. Effectively, you guys are really, really important to that side of the problem, and I want to make sure that we're focused on that. That's my questions for now. I have Councilman Dorsey.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to reiterate the chair's point, we don't have either the sheriff or the chief deputy here. Am I right?
That's right.
Okay. The chief deputy couldn't make it either?
No.
Okay. On January 25th of this year, the sheriff's office was here for a hearing regarding eviction procedure.
Correct.
And at that time, the sheriff's office attested that it was in the practice of posting eviction notices on the exterior door of multifamily or
The rent
multi-unit
notices.
dwellings.
The rent notice is correct.
And we provided the state, the Attorney General opinion that made clear that the law requires that an eviction notice be posted on an individual unit's door
in order for the eviction to proceed properly and legally. Has the sheriff's office since then changed its practice to post on individual unit doors?
No, sir. I told you we had to consult with the Attorney General, and the Attorney General provided opinion on that. Back to the saying that they wouldn't respond, that had to come from the mayor.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
We consulted with the Attorney General, and the Attorney General, I told them that you wanted an opinion, because that opinion that you're talking about was issued in 2003 or 2004. And his response back to the council was that that response had to come from the mayor,
You mean the request?
the request.
So what we provided you was from the Attorney General's office. The opinions of the Attorney General's office don't just lapse. They continue to hold up over time unless overturned by law or by statute or by the Attorney General himself. Did you not make a request for clarification on your own behalf?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes.
So are you now awaiting your own Attorney General opinion, not at your request, not deferring to have it come from the mayor?
Yes, I'm awaiting his opinion.
You are, okay.
Councilman Dorsey,
Yes, sir.
I wonder if it might be better if we just wait until we have the sheriff to answer some of these questions directly. Would you prefer that?
This is a sufficient answer at the moment.
Okay.
I appreciate it, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
But if I can't
We
get
can call him back.
Yeah, but if I can't get an answer on this next question, yes,
All right, sounds
certainly. The sheriff's office is in the habit of referring people seeking to know what their eviction date is, referring those people to the Public Justice Center to get that information.
There's 3 locations actually, and it was on our recording, and Mr. Hill just the other day requested us to take them off the recording because they could not handle the volume of calls. So we have done that, and people who call in are told where to call to find out their evictions are scheduled, and we provide those agencies a list 2 weeks prior to every eviction.
What are those other 2 agencies?
I don't have them off my top of my head. I mean,
Are they agencies with which the sheriff's department holds any contract for them to provide information on your behalf?
we have no contracts. They're city agencies that works on tenants' behalf. So I just can't remember their exact names. One is in City Hall, I believe, and I'm not sure who the other one is.
You know, when we send this rent notices out, that we have a pamphlet that goes out with a rent notice. You know, so it goes out with all the places, all the resources that is available, you know, for the tenants.
Yeah, okay. But if a person is calling the sheriff's office asking what the date is that the sheriff's office is going to evict them from their home, and the sheriff's office is telling them, go ask somebody else the question.
I don't think we do that, sir.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
I don't think we do that, sir. If I don't remember a time where a person called in to a sheriff's office, to a district, where they asked, you know, if this eviction is going through, and did it clear the court, and when is the eviction date, we're more than glad to tell them.
You wouldn't what?
We would tell them,
You would tell them.
yes. You talk about eviction date, right?
My understanding is
Yes.
that, no, that's not actually what's happening, is that these people calling and asking the sheriff's office what the date of their eviction is are being told to call some other place,
That's,
notably the Public Justice Center, who asked you to stop doing that.
well, they may call them direct. I know for a fact we have 6 individuals in the district office, civilians, who is sitting in front of the computers, and they're the one who's arranging the evictions for that day, for the next, for the next week. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no reason for them not to tell them.
To my point, there is no reason, but it's repeatedly reported to us that people who are calling and asking the sheriff's office when their eviction dates are happening are being told to go ask somebody else, not the sheriff's office.
I think you're incorrect. I think you're incorrect, sir.
No further questions, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Dorsey. Folks, I think we're going to end it here. I'm not sure that we can really get into some of these conversations without the sheriff actually in attendance. So with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to the actual chair of the committee, now Chairman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After conferring with the chair of the committee at the chair's request, we're going to reconvene. So we'll come back sometime this week. We also have Baltimore Office of Promotion in the Arts coming back to the council. So my office will work directly with, is Nina or Sophia still here? I'll work directly with you all sometime tomorrow to find a time, hopefully during the daytime on either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. If there are blackout periods for the sheriff's schedule, would you please email those to me tomorrow before lunchtime?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. We're now in recess. We will reconvene in 5 minutes at 9:35 for Mayor's Office of Neighborhood and Safety Engagement. Thank you.